So, good morning.
Good morning.
It's good to be back for day three of our discussion in the reading. On Monday, we started with the concept of the reading and we looked at the purpose of the reading. Now, the purpose, we got to realize that it assesses an individual receptive skill in a written communication. Now, after that, we looked at the structure and we said that the individual will be mandated to take or answer 40 questions within a stipulated period of 60 minutes, that is 1 hour. And then for academic, you are going to have three passages. For general, you are going to have three what? Sections. That is what we discussed. Now we looked at the differences with academic model and the general model. Now we got to realize that the difference has got to do with the content, but the structure and then everything is the same. We looked at the tips and then we got to realize that it is imperative if you want to get an advanced score, a higher score, to be able to know the question types that the reading have. And then it is imperative that you also know the strategy associated with dealing with each of the question type. Now we said that there are a lot of information captured under the academic write-up from the passage. Anything short of this, it means that your heading may be a problem or it might be wrong. That was what we discussed. On day two, that is yesterday, we looked at four question types, i.e., matching information to paragraph question type. What is the matching information to paragraph question type? The questions are information extracted from different areas of the paragraph, and the responsibility is to determine the paragraph that information was picked from. That is all. It isn't quite difficult compared to the earlier two that we discussed on Monday, because with this, there is nothing much that you have to do about it. The only problem or challenge associated with matching information here is that the question is a paraphrase form of what? The actual information we have in the passage. So you are not going to have it direct for you to easily pick them out. Now here, it demands full understanding of everything that you are reading. That is why we see an individual who gets to know the information captured in the passage stands a better chance of what? Getting the answers right. How would you be able to know? You should be able to know, one, by reading, and not just reading. Ordinary reading would not help you to know. By reading to also understand what you are what? These are the two elements that would help you to know. That is why I said it is an understanding seeking question. But with this, you cannot apply the concept of skimming and scanning to take any of the information out. So it behoves on the individual to read from the beginning to what? To be able to identify and answer all the paragraph such information was picked from. It is demanding because you need to read from A to the last one. And of course, because of that, straight away when you have a matching information to paragraph under any of the reading passage, don't forget that it will not be only that matching information to paragraph questions. You would have other questions attached to it. So you need to straight away activate paragraph approach. When you seek to answer the questions what? Simultaneously. That is the concept. If you decide to pick them question type by question type, the answer question type by question type, then you delay a lot because you are going to read the full merit of the passages from the beginning to the end just to answer matching information. Now you still need the reading again to answer the other questions, which will stretch you a bit, equally demanding time too. So you switch on to the paragraph approach and then seek to answer the questions hand in hand as you read. That is the concept of matching information. List selection. Very simple question type. What happens? The questions are statements, and either above or below the statement, there is a list provided. Now the list can be people, places, items, materials, it can be anything. So what are you supposed to do? You are supposed to match the list to the right statement. That is the question. How would you be able to match them? By using the list as a keyword. So very simple, you pick the first list, skim quickly to the passage, and then to identify the paragraph where such date or such item, whether a word or whatever, such item was mentioned. Now, when you get a paragraph, what are you supposed to do? You read the information around that item planted in that paragraph. Then you compare the statement to the information you read to see if any of them can be matched. If it is, yes, then you are not writing the name or the item of the list rather, but you are writing its associated letter. So if A, yesterday we got to realize that we have Freeman, Sean Kenevsky, El Shout, Simon Tinbo Kayet. So Freeman was A. In the first paragraph, we got to realize that Freeman was in paragraph A. We read the information about Freeman and we were able to match it to, I think, 21, yes or no? 21, and that's it. Now we move on. So 21, we are not going to write the name Freeman, but we are going to write the letter A on the answer sheet. When we are done, we move on to the next what? List. The next on the list here was Shaw and Kenevsky. And then I think we were able to get it around paragraph D or so. And with paragraph D, we got the information about Shaw and Kenevsky. And then we began matching. Make sure that the number of words, the exact demand of what? The question. If the question says, do not choose or choose no more than 2 words, make sure that the words you are extracting from the passage hovers around either 1 or what? If it becomes more than 2, that is 3 or more, you are going to be marked wrong, regardless of the accuracy of the answers. So the instructions are as good as the answer in itself. The same strategy was what we used for the note completion. So after day 2, we have looked at true false, the 2 matching headings and matching what? Information. Now we are also looking at the notes completion. We looked at the list selection. We looked at the sentence completion. Making it 6. Today we are going to add 2 more to it. 2 more, making it 8. Now we are going to add, don't forget that I told you we have 2 out of it, making it 8. Then we'll be left with 7 to treat them next week. Don't forget that we have next week, Monday, Tuesday, and a Wednesday to meet. So today we are looking at summary completion, which is another fill the gap question. Then we'll now these are the 2 question types we are discussing today. Yesterday we discussed 4. Today we are going to look at 2. Of course, it is 2, but technically it goes beyond 2 because each is in 2 folds. Now, for the summary completion, we have 2 types. We have the one with options and then the one without options. So it is one, but in 2 what? Forms. Now this 2 has 2 forms. So we are technically discussing 2 questions, but because of its double nature, we are still looking at 4 different what? Question types, but they are all grouped under 1. That is why we said we are discussing 2 of the question type. So with the multiple choice, we have the single answer type, and then we have the double or the multiple answer type. So the multiple choice questions also come in 2 forms, the single one and the double or the multiple answer variations. These are the 2 question types that can be obtained from multiple choice. Now for the summary completion, we have with and without options. So today we are going to look at 1, 2, 3, 4 question types. That is why I gave you 2 sheets each. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes or no? Now, I have earlier indicated that summary completion is part of the fill in the gaps question. Now, for the fill in the gaps, it means that in their quest of writing such questions, spaces are created, making the sentence or the summary incomplete. So our responsibility here is to get words that can be what? Used to fill that space given. That is all. And then for multiple choice questions, what happens? It is one of the interesting question types students lab back in school. Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes, we loved multiple choice back then. So sometimes when an assignment is given or you have to take a test, class test, whatever, the first thing we ask the teacher is, would objectives be part of it? So the very moment the individual realizes that yes, OBJ will be part, then of course you have that sense of what relief, isn't it? That is it. But if the teacher tells you that no objectives, and then you see that notion, hey, have you heard you? It naturally comes. So we saw objective questions as very, very what? Simple. Why? Definitely the question will be coming with what? Possible answers, not answers. The question will be coming with possible answers. That is the options. And whatever being the case, we are supposed to select our answer to the question from the options. Yes or no? That is the. Now, in worst case scenario, sometimes you can use the usual plan, the Chusubidi plan. Chusubidi, Chusubidi, Chusubidi. Then you see, then Chusubidi. That option, that is what we were mostly doing. But of course, there is a strategy in unlocking the secrecy or the door of multiple choice questions. If we apply that strategy we used as in selective what answers, we may be getting them what wrong. Of course, you are more or less like answering the questions based on trial, and it becomes 50-50. So it is imperative that we look at the scale associated with them. Now let me start with the summary completion. Pick the first one. Pick the first one. The Johnson's Dictionary. The Johnson's Dictionary. Now turn to what you have on the board. Question 47. Question 47. What we have on the board? Question 47. Question 47. Question 47. Now, pick the Museum of Fine Arts and their public. Pick that one. Pick that one. And then turn to question 27 to 29. Questions 27 to 31. Now, my sister, first, let's pick the Johnson's Dictionary. Read the instruction. Yes, 47. Yeah, the instruction says, now the instruction says complete the summary. I think you should take this pen. She will be reading for me, so that's it.
Complete the summary.
Okay, now we have complete the summary. Now below the instruction, read.
Choose no more than 2 words.
Now the question is giving us a summary. Are you seeing a summary?
Yes.
And then the summary here is in 1764, Dr. Johnson accepted the contract to produce a dictionary. Now, having rented a on a number of what? Dash. Now, realize that this summary here that began with in 1970 in 1764 is incomplete because of the gap what created. Yes or no? Now it continues through to Johnson did not have a dash again. So realize that in the presentation of this summary, there has been what? There have been gaps created. So the gaps created, it is imperative for us to complete them by using information from what? The passage. This is a summary completion question type. So I told you the completion questions, it begins with complete. But the only thing that changes is the item. So if it becomes complete a sentence, we say it is what? Sentence completion question type. If it becomes complete a note, what would it be?
Note completion.
So if it is complete the table, what would it be?
Table completion.
When it becomes complete the diagram, what would it be?
Diagram completion.
Likewise, complete the flowchart, what would it be?
Flowchart completion.
That is the concept. So we generate or derive the question type's name using the instruction of the question. I told you that it comes in two forms. Now, turn to the one in 27 to 31 as projected on the screen. Please read.
Complete the summary using the list of words A to
Now,
L.
we are saying that complete the summary using the list of words A to L. Now, this time, are you seeing a list of words provided? A to L, yes or no? So this time, the question mandates us to complete this summary. There is still a summary written here, and the summary here is people go to art museums because they accept the value of seeing an original work of art, but they do not go to museums to read original manuscripts of novels, perhaps because the availability of novels has depended on dash. By virtue of the dash created, it makes the statement what? Incomplete. So it is our responsibility to complete it. But this time, we are not going to complete it with anything. The list or the options we are supposed to use to complete the 27 created through to the 28 down to 29, 30, and 31 have been given here. Now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces to fill. But the options here are A to L. May be a human, yes or no? He took a number of dash, and that dash he paid stood at what? One central desk. Now let's quickly skim. Let's quickly skim. Now I said that we skim using your pencil as a pointer, yes or no? So in the first paragraph, are we having 1764? No. There is Dr. Johnson there, but we don't have 17 what? 64. We don't have Garrett, yes or no? So we move on to the second paragraph to check. Now in the second paragraph, we don't have 1764. Now the third paragraph, do you still have 1764 in the third paragraph? Yes. 1764 in the third paragraph? No. So in the fourth paragraph, where we have Johnson was a poet, that is where we have 1764 here. Yes. Then we have the name Johnson mentioned. So at least it is a guarantee that the information we need can be what? Found here. Now we have he here, and then we have took. We don't need the full merit of the passage. But of course, if we want to read down from the top to the down, we can start. Let's begin. Johnson was a poet and critic who raised common sense to the heights of genius. Now, his approach to the problems that had worried writers throughout the late 17th and early 18th centuries was intensely what? Practical. Up until his time, the task of producing a dictionary on such a large scale had seemed what? Impossible. Without the establishment of an academy to make decisions about right and wrong usage. Johnson decided he did not need an academy to settle arguments about what? Language. What would he do? He would write a dictionary himself and he would do it single-handed. Johnson signed the contract. Now the first sentence, we are looking at Johnson signing the contract, yes or no? Yes. So we are seeing that Johnson signed, we could have skipped the earlier information we read and then concentrate on the portion where he was signing the contract, because that is the portion we need to be able to answer the question 1, isn't it? So we could have easily skipped that portion and then concentrate on where he signed the dictionary. But we want to understand the information better. That is why we started from that paragraph to scan. Now, Johnson signed a contract for the dictionary with the bookseller Robert Dursley at a breakfast held at the Golden Anchor in near Holborn Bar on what? 18th June 1764. Now, he was to be paid £1,575 in installments, and from this, he took money to rent 17 Gold Square. Don't forget that we said that he rented a garret. The garret here is what we call the 17 Gold Square. So to rent 17 Gold Square, in which he set up his dictionary workshop. Now we move on. We've identified the first sentence. It is the second sentence that we need to answer the question 1. So we read, James Boswell, his biographer, described the garret. So which garret? The garret here is the 17 Gold Square he was. He rented, yes or no? Yes. So the 17 Gold Square here is the garret. We've identified the garret. By virtue of identifying the garret, it means that we are heading closer to the answer to the question 1. And it is almost close. Now, Ward Johnson work as fitted up like a counting house with long desk running down the middle. The middle here gives to central, yes or no? Yes. So here we are having the long central desk identified. Still, we need what he took, yes or no? Yes. At which the copying clerks would work standing. So who stood standing? So the question 1 here can best be what? Filled with what? Copying clerks. Now we identify that the individuals he took or he rented just to assist him in the writing of the dictionaries were the copying clerks. Now there are 2 words. Let's go to the instructions of the question to check the number of words we are supposed to pick. Now the question says that I have choose no more than 2 words. So it means that if you write copying clerks here, we will be right. Please, when you are writing, make sure that you check the spelling. Write exactly what is captured in the passage. Sometimes an individual may get the answer, yet spell them wrongly when writing. It baffles my mind. We are done with the first one. Please, I told you that this is the same strategy we are going to use for the one with options. Please, if it was to be the one with options, if a passage had options to be selected, now from the passage we have gotten to realize that the right item is copying clerks. Let's assume that this is what we have for the 27 to 31. So let's go to that portion. Let's go to the 27 to 31, this one, the one with options. Assuming that this passage is the passage to be used to answer this, and from the reading 27, we've gotten to realize that it is copying clerks. Now, we can't write the copying clerks here because the instruction says we should rather choose from this. So what we are supposed to do is that we use the copying clerks to compare to the options given, then we choose the nearest synonym. Hello? Hello? So you see, let's proceed. As the information, as the summary was paraphrased, so would the options sometimes paraphrased. So the right word you are going to get from the passage using the keywords may not be the same words you are going to see in the list. So you need to compare them, match the right answer to the options, and then select the nearest one. So listen, let's begin to compare. Assuming we had copying clerks, then can we match copying clerks to institution, public, science, readers, mass production, plates, underlying ideas, picture frames, mechanical processes, artists? No. Basic technology? No. So it will be what? Then on 27 you write what? That is it. So the same strategy. The only thing that is that you compare. And of course, you did not encounter any difficulty comparing, yes or no? So it isn't difficult. It will not. We are still going to read this passage to answer them. Obviously, you are not going to have the answers direct. They will not be direct. They would not. Hello? Hello? Shall we proceed? Have you gotten the concept between the two? With or without options? Okay. So let's proceed with the one we were discussing. Now the next one. Please let's proceed. The next one we are to consider is 5. So the sentence begins with Johnson did not have a dash available to him, but eventually he produced definitions of what? Excess of 40,000. So repeat the key term. Johnson had 40,000, 80 large what? So let's begin to scan where we can have that information. Yes. Where? Which paragraph? Which paragraph? Paragraph 6. Let's go to paragraph 6. So there's paragraph 6. So we are seeing 40,000, and then we are also seeing 80 large notebooks. So the key terms we underline in the sentence 3 have all been identified in paragraph 6, meaning we will be able to use paragraph 6 to answer. Don't forget that the question says Johnson did not have something. So we are going to identify what Johnson lacked. Now, the first statement, the work was immense, filling about 80 large notebooks, and without what?
A library.
So what did Johnson not have?
A library.
So we fix in question 5, library. Very simple. If it was with options, then we will straight away compare the library to the right option in the list and then choose the respective letter. That is the difference. So the same strategy, the same technique. The difference has got to do with what? Something small. When you get the answer, you don't write the answer direct as you are going to do for the without options. You only compare. Sometimes the word you are going to obtain from the passage may be the same as in the list provided. In another breath, it can be what? Paraphrased. That is the only difference. Are you clear? Okay, so let's look at the 6. So 6, we are saying that according to his biographer James Boswell, Johnson's principal achievement. So we look at English language, biographer James Boswell, Johnson's principal Then the last one, we are saying that as a reward for his hard work, he was granted the king. Now, don't forget that we had James Boswell from the fourth paragraph. Yes or no?
Yes.
But we've used that because of the concept of the FO thing. We are not supposed to go there. So we should look below what we had question 5. The paragraph we had for question 5, the subsequent paragraph that follows, to see if we have the name Boswell mentioned again. So let's begin to skim quickly. So we skim downward. Do you have Boswell's name mentioned again? Not where we had it in the first one. Now let's see what we have on the screen. Let's see what we have on the screen. Now we had the information to question 5 here. Here, we are chasing for the name Boswell again. In the earlier paragraphs, we had Boswell mentioned. By virtue of having the library here and saying that semi-completion follows order, let's not go back again. The FA concept, it means that the answer to 6 will not precede 5. So we should search answer to 6 below where we had 5. So we are chasing the name Boswell. It means that we should search for that name again in the subsequent paragraphs. So we check. In this paragraph, we have Boswell mentioned. The next paragraph again. So the next paragraph, we don't have Boswell. Now the last but one paragraph, the one that starts with Johnson, we are seeing James what?
Boswell.
So you see, James' name has been mentioned what? Twice. So you need the second one. Now the question says that according to his biographer, James Boswell, Johnson's principal achievement was to bring. So we read, Johnson had worked for 9 years without little assistance of the learned, and without any patronage of the great, not in the soft obscurities of retirement or under the shelter of academic bowers, but amidst inconvenience and distractions, in sickness and in soul, for all its faults and eccentricities, his 2-volume work is a masterpiece and a landmark. In his own words, setting the orthography, displaying the analogy, regulating the structures, and ascertaining the significations of English words, it is the cornerstone of what? Standard English. An achievement which in James Boswell's words conferred what?
Stability.
On what? The language here is the English word. So the question says that according to his biographer, James Boswell, Johnson's principal achievement was to bring what?
Stability.
Now don't forget that it is confer stability. To confer means to bring. So even though the instruction says choose no more than 2 words, it is 2 words here. By virtue of the bring preceding the dash, you cannot write confer stability, because to confer means to what? Bring. So if you bring the confer stability, it becomes to bring. So here go 2 words, but we are to only choose what? 1. And the right option here is stability. Now we have the last one essay. As a reward for his hard work, he was granted a dash by the king. So if you identify answer here, then it will be the last paragraph, yes or no? So we move on. The dictionary, together with his writing, made Johnson famous and so well esteemed that his friends were able to prevail upon King George III to offer To offer means to what? To grant. Yes or no?
Yes.
Now, what is the king offering? He is offering him what?
Pension.
So we said that he was granted a. The a is here. The a is in the question. So what are you going to write?
Pension.
Very simple. That is the same approach. Hello? 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 That is the same approach we are going to use for the second one. Now let's go to the Museum of Fine Arts. Let's go to the Museum of Fine Arts. Let's go to the Museum of Fine Arts. Hello? Please, let's concentrate. Now we said that we are picking them except by what? So we pick the first except. Now the first except here says that people go to art museums because they accept the value of seeing what? An original work of what? So we pick our key terms. Our key terms here is art what? Now, original work of what? Now with this sentence, we don't need any gap to fill. Where we are supposed to fill lies in the second sentence. So we read, but we are using this as a preamble to direct us to where we are going to get the 27. But they do not go to museums to read original manuscripts. So key terms, museum of novels, because availability of what has depended on. So what does it mean? It means that we are saying that the paragraph or the summary says that people go to art museums. Of course, we know art museums, yes or no? So we are saying that people go to art museums because they accept the value of seeing an original work of art. But now, of course, let's assume that cultural center there is an art shop there. So at what point in time would you go to an art shop? Because you want to see original works, yes or no? So the reason for people going to museums solely lies on seeing originality of what works, yes or no? Yes. That is it. The use of that here is a contrasting element opposing the earlier stated sentence. So, but the day here is still referring to who? They do not go to museums to read original manuscript. Now, what is manuscript? Don't forget that. Interestingly, now listen, interestingly, when we have technology in abundance, making it possible for one to process desktop, laptop, those items, electronic gadgets, where we can type items at the comfort of our homes. When books were written, novels, yes or no? Now, when books were written, what the writers were doing was they would get a book, a big book. Look at Johnson's own that we read. He said that he began by filling the dictionary with what? 80 large what? Notebooks, yes or no? Yeah. That is it. So here, what is happening? When the writers are writing the novels, what they do is that they pick a large book, sometimes a notebook or whatever, and then they write the story with their hand before it is sent to let's say the typewriter or whatever for them to type before the print shops what print, yes or no? Yes. That book, that original book, the first book, the writers, the typewriters or the typists looked at it to type the message, the novel, is what we call the manuscript. So the first sentence says that people go to art museums to watch who? The original work of art. But you will not go to a museum to read original manuscript of a novel. So let's assume that Zest Consult Handbook here is a story. It's a storybook. Now you are having it because it has been printed, yes or no? So let's assume that this book, before it was typed and printed, Mr. Sheriff, who is the author of this book, first wrote, has the main one, the original manuscript, here at the library. By virtue of having this, would you desire to go to the museum to read this book, the original one that was handwritten? That is what the statement is saying. But they do not go to museum to read original manuscript of what? Perhaps because, so what we need to fill the 27 is the reason why people will not go to what? Museum to read the hard copies of books. But you would want to go to art museums to what? To watch what? Original work of art. So here you need why people will not go there to read. So because the availability of novels has depended on that for so long. So for the novels, the books, you are having this book here, which is a photocopy. Because of what? So you should go to the book to find out what the writer is giving as a reason why people will not go to what? Museums to read the original work of what? A novel. Yes or no? That is it. So we are going to the novel and the book to skim. Now I am going to use the paragraph approach. Because I am going to use the paragraph approach, let's consider the other questions under it. Yes or no? So you consider the other questions. Now the next one, my sister, read for us.
Choose the correct letter. A, B, C, or D. Write the correct letter in boxes 32 to 35 on the answer sheet.
Okay. Now what are we seeing? We are seeing some questions displayed on the screen, and the instruction is that we are supposed to choose the correct letter. What is happening? We have question 32, 33, 34, 35, and each of the question comes with 4 options provided, and then the options are not all answers to the question. It is only one of them that can be used as what? A possible answer to the question. So we are supposed to look through the 4 options A to D and then choose one, the right one, that answers 32. Now each of the questions, so for 32 we say, read the question.
The writer mentions London's National Gallery to illustrate.
So here we say, the writer mentions London's National Gallery to illustrate, and we have A to D. So we are supposed to select the one that answers why the writer is mentioning London's National Gallery from the A to D. This is what we call the multiple choice question. So when we say a multiple choice question, it deals with a question that comes with options, and some of the options are supposed to be selected as what? Answer to the question. So realize that we have 32, 33, 34, 35, 4 questions, and each of the questions comes with its own options to be used as what? Answers to each one of them. This is what we call the multiple choice single answer type. I told you that with the multiple choice we have 2 types. We have the single answer type and then the double or the multiple answer type. Yes or no? So this is what we call the single answer type, where each question has its own options, as in option A to D or sometimes A to C. So you are selecting one of the options as an answer to that question. Then the next question would also be having its own what? Options. That is the single answer type. Now let's go to the Johnson's dictionary. Please read question 1 to 3.
Choose Three letters, A to H.
Choose three letters A to H. Are you seeing options beginning from A through to H?
Yes.
Okay.
Write your answers in boxes 1 to 3 on your answer sheet.
Now listen. Don't forget that I told you with the reading, we are going to be given answer sheets. Let me display the answer sheet on the screen. Choose three letters A to H. So we'll be given A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H as options to a question. Please read the question.
Which three of the following statements are true of Johnson's dictionary?
So the question here says that which three of the following statements are true of what? Johnson's dictionary. Now with this, we'll be given 8 options. Unlike the first one we saw from 32 to 35, we are given each question with its own word. And then we are supposed to select one of the options as answer to that question. Now when we go to 33, 33 has its own question plus its own word option. So that is why we refer to that as the single answer type. But with this, we'll be given one question and then many options. Not 4, not 3. This time we will be given 8 options, A to H. Do you get it? And then out of the 8 options, we are not choosing one, as we saw in the first one. The question is instructing us that we should choose how many? 3. Now we are not choosing 3 here to fail one question. We are choosing 3 to fail question 1 to what? So here, this is the reading answer sheet. So here, we choose 3 out of the 8 to 8 to fail question 1, 2, and then 3. When you have a question, a multiple choice question of that nature, we say it is a multiple answer type. Sometimes they can tell you that choose 2. When they tell you to choose 2, it becomes double answer type. Do you get it? So you have a multiple choice question where you are given limited options, sometimes 3 or 4. And then out of the 3 or 4, you are supposed to select one, just one, to answer each question. When the question restricts you to that, we say it is a single answer type question. But when you have just one question, and then the options are many, sometimes the options become 5, sometimes it can be 6, sometimes it can be 7 or 8 as we are seeing. Then out of the many options, we are not to choose one as we saw, but we are choosing 2 or more. We say it is a double or what? Multiple answer type. That is the concept. Now, Hadia, there is one interesting instruction there. Andy,
Your answers may be given in any order.
now listen, assuming after answering the question, we got to realize that the right statements that are true of Johnson's dictionary is now per what we read from the Johnson's dictionary. At least we can go through and then find something. Avoided all scholarly works. It was the only English dictionary in general use. We didn't see that. It was favor, we can't see that. It focused, we can't see that. There was time it ignored, it took into account its definitions. So per what we read, we cannot choose any. But let's try to choose some. Let's assume that the right options will be B, D, and then let's say H. Let's assume that the right options will be B, D, and the what? Now we are using B, D, H to fill question 1 to 3. Now the instruction says that your answers may be given in any what? So what happens? Now you can decide that question 1 you give B, question 2 D, question 3 H. It is still the same. You are right. When one decides that I will not arrange it B, D, H, first will be D, second will be B, third will be H. The person is also what? Right. The arrangement of the answer will not make it right or what? Wrong in any order. Provided that all the options are right, we will mark what? Wrong. Now, it should be arranged vertically, not horizontally. At what point in time will the individual be marked wrong? That is when the individual decides that more than one option will be chosen for question 1. So, B, D, H, B, D, H, B, D, H. It means that we want the examiner to choose one for you. So what if the examiner picks B, B, B instead of B, D, H? What would happen? So it should be arranged vertically. Every question must have one of what? The options. That is all. If you mix the arrangement, it will not affect it. One may say, sir, what if I get, let's say, 2 right and then 1 wrong? Will I demand all of the options wrong? The answer is no. So assuming instead of BDH, the person writes BDE, you mark this, and then this will be marked wrong. So the only one you had it wrong will mark wrong. When you get one of the options wrong, it doesn't affect the other. Hello? That is the concept. Now, let me draw your attention to one thing about multiple choice. I told you that multiple choice questions are not difficult. When the examiners are selecting the options, there are 3 things you are going to see. 1, you are going to see now when you see a multiple choice question, there are 3 things you are going to see. 1, you are going to see some of the options that are out of board. Now, what are the out of board options? They are the options that you can easily be able to identify as not answers to the questions. So sometimes when you are given multiple choice option or options, you can easily identify that, oh, this is out, this is out. So you can easily take some of them out, yes or no? Those are what we call out of board options. They are not difficult to identify, these ones. Now, every multiple choice answer or question has the key. The key here is the one that opens the door. So the key here is the main answer. So the main answer will be part of the options. This is where the problem is. The problem has got to do with the 3rd element. And the 3rd element here is called the distractor. Cast your mind back to the secondary school days. When you had English questions, choose the one that best completes the question. Especially when the options are prepositions. In, on, by, to. The same question. Who be to show my head? When the two is out and they decide to slot in, it becomes okay. By will be what?
Okay.
That is when we realize that the distractor is more troublesome than a troubling wife. The distractor. The only problem in the multiple choice here is to guard against the distractor. Now, the distractor is similar to the main answer. If you are not careful, you can easily slot in the distractor because it is similar. But be very careful. No matter how similar or look alike you may be to someone, there is always a difference between you and that person. Yes or no?
Yes.
So there's a difference between similarity and sameness. So no matter how the distractor is similar to the key or the main answer, there is a difference. And the right option is the main answer. So your only problem here is to guard against the problem associated with what? And then do away, avoid the distractor. Here, what makes the multiple choice quite complex is that the question plus the options are paraphrased form of the actual information there. Now, most of you, what you do when you are answering a multiple choice question is that sometimes you read the question and after that read the options. And when you are done reading the question, when you go to the passage, you consider which of the options you read that will be identified in the passage to what? To be chosen. Because of that strategy, they have decided to plant the distractor around that strategy. So what do they do? Sometimes when you go to the passage, the main answer that answers the question in the options will be paraphrased. While the distractor will be words that are directly seen from what? So for those of you who concentrate on the question, on the options, to select an answer from the passage, you can easily fall to when you London for me. That is the concept. So you say, how would you be able to avoid the challenge of the distractor? You can be able to avoid the challenge of the distractor by focusing on the question instead of what? The options. At the point of choosing an answer, answering the question, consider the options non-existent. Just assume that you have just the question without the options, that they gave you only the question without any option. Now focus on the question, understand the question, pick your key terms there, and then go to the passage using the key term to identify the portion where the answer can be extracted. Based on the option, read the passage to obtain an answer to the question yourself. So at that point, because you have not compromised your thinking by reading the options, you have no idea about the options. Your only focus was on the question, yes or no. So at the point of reading, you have the question in mind. So as you are reading the passage, you are looking at an option from the passage that can be what? Answering the question, yes or no. That is all. Now when you get that answer yourself from the passage, straight away, go to the options and then compare. Compare the answer you had from the passage to the options. You can easily avoid, no matter how the key or the main answer has been written, whether direct or paraphrased, you'll be able to what? So we say for multiple choice questions, the focal point at the point of answering is the question, not what? The options. But when you obtain an answer after reading the passage, then you use the answer to compare what? To select the right one. Very simple. If you don't, sometimes all the options can be distractors. Sometimes all the options can be distractors. Sometimes all the options there, you get it, can be seen from the passage. So those of you who are considering the option that can be identified from the passage, sometimes all of the options can be there. So which one would you choose? So the focal point should be on what? Question. And that is all. Hadia, let's go to multiple choice. When you have a multiple choice, what are you supposed to do?
Multiple choice question type.
Okay.
It provides options to choose the correct answer. This question type is usually in the order of the passage.
So you say it is usually in the order of the passage.
Candidates can make use of keywords in the question.
Yes.
The simplest way to answer these questions is to focus on the questions and search for an answer in the passage.
So the simplest way is to focus on who? And search for what? So at the point of answering, as you are about to what? Get an answer, consider the options as non-existent. That they've not given the options to you. Focus on the question. It is about the question. I said it is about what?
The question.
Now when you are done obtaining an answer to the question, get back to the options and then do the direct comparison. You can easily identify the answer. Yes, sister, continue.
Then, the candidate should compare his or her answer obtained with the options given. One of the options will stand out from the others and can be chosen as an answer.
Simplicity. So let's go to the question, the one in Museum of Fine Art, and then choose. We said we are focusing on what? Instead of. So we read. The writer mentions London's National Gallery 2 in Street. So key terms. London National what? So we are going to find out why the writer is mentioning London's National Gallery. Now aside that, 33. The writer says that today viewers may be unwilling to criticize a work because, so key terms are viewers, that today is